Hello and welcome to another edition of Indiepocalypse Radio. A special, a special rare pre. This is your Indiepocalypse Radio, of course, is your half interview show, half post-con hangout. But this time, I am having a pre-con hangout that I'm not going to. But I saw that a lot of people were, and I thought, like, hey, what if I attempted this kind of thing where people just would like. It'd be cool if you go to an event. You're like, hey, I know all these people here, or I knew some of these people here because I met beforehand, and this is my attempt to do these kind of things at events where I notice that is happening, and I know people. So this is, and there were actually even more people that I knew that were unavailable for. It turned out to be a very packed June, in terms of me being busy and other people being busy. But we've got and me of this, of course, is Andrew. I'm the host, etc. of this show, organizer of the Indiepocalypse as part of the radio part of that show. We're here with a crew of people who you may soon know if you are attending the Too Many Games. What do they call it? I think it's just called the Too Many Games. I don't know if what they call this as a show, an event, a festival, etc. But we are here with people with Standing Cat Studios, Team Sometimes Why, and just Michael. Do you go by a studio name?
Too much tomato, but
too much
sometimes.
tomato. But it's always a weird thing of a person going by a name,
Yeah.
I was like, for a second, I was trying to turn you up through voice meter. I'm like, that doesn't work. I have to turn my audio up. But hello everyone.
Hello. Howdy.
Hi.
So I will start because I talked to you first. I'll just start with a brief as opposed to the usual like mountains of introductions. I'm going to start with brief introductions. In this case, hey Michael, I talked to you first. What's up? How you doing?
How's it going?
Going good. Just hanging out. Very too busy. But some time to relax. I guess before I have to do something again tomorrow. But speaking of people who are doing things, you're doing a lot of things because you're bringing torso tennis to Too Many Games. So I have to ask, hey, if people are unfamiliar loosely, what's torso tennis?
Yeah, so Torso Tennis is a tennis roguelike that kind of has like a collage style aesthetic where you play as a human torso or like a toy torso, and you're acquiring limbs that make you better at tennis. You can like spew things all over the tennis court, acquire limbs from your opponents and use them against your next opponent. And then I also help organize indie events in North Carolina with the group Triangle Interactive Arts Collective.
Yes, that's because that is the not the tri-state, not the what's the word? What's the word for the Maryland one? Like the Maryland, Virginia.
DMV.
Yes, some people are more familiar with that. But the triangle. Which one is this triangle? Which one is the triangle?
It's a region in North Carolina. It's called the Research Triangle. It's kind of between Durham, Raleigh, and Chapel Hill, where there's a bunch of universities and kind of science-y companies in the area.
So one of those things where the further you go south and west, your states just get so big that you can kind of have your own little areas within a singular space.
Exactly. Yeah, the next city group over is called the Triad. So it's like there's literally two, like with Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and maybe Rocky Mount. I don't actually know the Triad.
Well, we're not here, but someone else spoke up for a brief moment about another triangle that they have. Hello, what's up? We have our sole representative here from Standing Cat Studio, and now I'm like, what are people's usernames and what are people's real names that they refer to? And I'm having a moment of crisis. Is it just Brogel?
I'll jump in then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brogel Online. My name's Ethan.
Okay. Yes, that's our
at Standing Cat. Yeah. So yes, I am a DMV representative, and yeah, I mean I'm bringing our game Necromancer of Nowhere to Too Many Games. It's our little isometric puzzle action game where you play as a cat necromancer, do all your spells, and travel between worlds by drawing right on the screen.
Perfect. And then we have our final representatives um, from Team Sometimes Why, Dakota, and then someone's name who I learned, I would say, probably 2 years ago. And
That's fine. I'm Tom.
Tom, I could have like had your like pulled your website up and looked, and I would have figured it out. But I didn't do
That's
that.
fine. I feel like we're we're well beyond that at this point. It's totally fine.
Yes.
Hope y'all are having a great day. I am one of the very few people in this call who wasn't at MagFest.
Yes.
Because I am from the other coast, and so my appearances on this coast are not as common. But I am in town for Too Many Games, so I'm excited to meet y'all in person and get to do that. So, yeah, and Dakota is also here.
Hello.
and I will leave up to maybe one, both, however you want to ping pong this responsibility to say, hey, what is part of you, what the game you are bringing to Too Many Games?
Yeah, sure. I got it.
I figured.
Part of you is a first-person puzzle adventure game where the main mechanic is that you have a bunch of different tools that interact with characters' facial features. So you can use to pick up and paste facial features from one character to another. A face flipper that quote unquote turns that frown upside down and lets you target characters' eyes and mouths and flip them all around, all with the goal being to meet a bunch of weird characters, solve a bunch of puzzles, and retrieve your missing identity from the lost and found at a clown convention.
Perfect. And it also, as of 2 days ago, I would say, the latest entry within the Pizza Pranks Tape Club.
Yes.
If you want to talk about my official branding of things, because people make cool adventure games and things like that. I just think about constantly the thing you had told me. I think those 2 years ago, like Clark Gaming Expo, people saying, publisher being like, "Oh, it's really cool, but we can't." We don't. It's not. It doesn't fit. It doesn't check enough of the right boxes or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of like, oh yeah, but this isn't like a puzzle platformer roguelike, or this is not a. You don't date these 100 people.
Right.
This still, I mean, to this day, this still is the struggle that we face every time. Every time anyone asks me like what the game is,
Yeah.
I have to like stop and take like 5 minutes to be like, well, which genres am I going to tag, right? Because like the comedy aspect is important, right? And like for some people that's a big seller, and for other people that's like not going to work. So it's like you just have to be mindful, and I'm sure like everyone else in this call is like kind of face that, and that's kind of the fun of indie is like that you don't really need to like stick with genre conventions.
Yes.
Like there's a lot more creative freedom there.
Exactly. Something I've been
for sure
working harder to do, and it's the way I think about things. But in terms of like trying to describe things to people, is like talking experientially and not like what the genres of the game are. Like in the same way you would like the genres, I think, when you describe other arts are usually the shortest of shorthands of being like, oh sure, it's an action movie, but like that's like the tiniest introduction to describing a movie, and then you describe like what it's about. Or like what the intent is. And I mean, I run into this constantly with like I would describe a lot of games that were walking around, but
I think like
yeah,
I know in that vein I'm always like I think often because I love survival horror games, but like how did that really specific like way of just like puzzle based kind of horror game get just the the moniker of survival horror.
Right. And it just not like
How'd that name come to define that?
Right, and it's a shorthand that even like your two big tent poles like Resident Evil and Silent Hill are two like extremely different things. Even if they share like that same mechanical base. So like in a way it does like even does those like a disservice in trying to describe them. Because
so this gets
yeah.
This gets dangerously close to another conversation that Dakota has certainly heard before.
Yes,
because it's
I'm interested.
One of my classics. But discussing like the like kind of right like genre conventions and stuff. Like one of the things that really I don't know, and this is like the most pedantic game developer-y bullshit that I get into, but it's the term roguelike.
Right.
For me, like I have come to the conclusion that like the term roguelike, roguelite, like all of those are so difficult to like use in like a conversation about like a game's identity, I find, because there is such a like difference of opinion on what each of those things mean, and like, you know, like the moment that a game has like meta progression or something that's like a little bit outside of the norm, like you ask a room full of 10 people and everyone has a different opinion on which games fall into which category, and it makes having those conversations like really tricky. And so like I like to get really granular with it, of like, okay, does it have permadeath? Does it have meta progress? Like, and obviously like that's not super useful for like talking to a random person who's like not super into the nuts and bolts and just wants to like play a game and have a good time. But like there's definitely like I don't know. I don't know what the actual solution to this problem is, but like
I think you
genre words.
Take cues from music and spiral into like 10 billion genres, you know. Like that get ultra, because you know, when you think like for this very specific genre, I often think like more of them are closer to arcade games that happen to have progression than they are to Rogue at this point, you know. Like,
yeah, I feel like calling them like run based is kind of something that works for me most of the time, but it's not like exciting, or people might not know exactly what you're talking about when you call it run based.
Right, like, and that's just like
but they don't know what you're talking about with roguelike either sometimes. So
yeah, and really that's like a genre that's like bolted on top of like how a game actually operates, you know. Like if you like is it the randomization, you know, I guess like it's like, what if arcade games were random and then you bought more life, is what a lot of like roguelikes are, or you know, within that very specific broad kind of like genre of, oh yeah, these are you know, rogue likes, the things that people will attach that moniker to in hopes of getting people to pay attention to them. I'm gonna start rearranging things where I place the power pellets and start calling Pac-Man a roguelike.
Yeah, so this is really, this gets into like my favorite thing of like limit testing, like what like words and like defined categories like really mean. And like this is actually how that conversation came up for the first time, was like there was a conversation about, well, they've never made a multiplayer roguelike. And someone said to me that they had never made a multiplayer roguelike, and I stopped and I was like, well, would you classify Fortnite as a roguelike?
Fortnite would.
Because it doesn't meet all of the criteria, but it certainly meets enough of them to like You could make the argument.
Epic Games is currently making the argument as I logged on in the pre-show to, of course, add to my giant pile of games a free game from Epic that I'm never going to play probably. It says right there, roguelike meets battle royale. I don't know what that means.
I imagine it's some new mode, but
Yes.
I mean,
Blitz Royale, of course, which means something. I mean, who knows?
No.
I refuse to learn what it means. I'm not going to
It could be
look
so
it up.
much fun.
I do not need to know why all these things. I am done with Fortnite in my life. I never had a moment with it in my life.
I was about to say, have you done your time?
No time. I think I'm fine. Like I think if I go through my entire life having never played Fortnite, I think my life will still turn out fine.
Well,
Think of all the
I've had to like through just osmosis absorb so much Fortnite knowledge through my
Right.
day job because I work with kids, so I'm always like,
Oh,
all right, I
yeah.
gotta know what's the newest thing in the item shop, so I have some like point of connection. Like I
right.
was talking to the kids about Hank Hill the other day. I was like, yo, King of the Hill, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, yeah,
That's
we like
awesome.
the guy. He drinks his sodas.
Well, I mean,
I mean,
eventually you can just talk
Oh,
about
what's up?
literally anything because everything will be in case
everything is in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I was 2 weeks ago. I was at Unreal Fest, which is like the epic like put on convention that's like kind of meant for like folks who work with Unreal Engine. And I ended up like sitting down at a table with a bunch of folks who were doing like licensing stuff, and like kind of and we've seen this transformation in the industry of like it just doesn't make sense to make games anymore for like big outside entities. Like you could make tie-in games, or you could just license your IP to Fortnite. And it's interesting to watch like kind of the everything game be born, but also like kind of the death of like I remember like back in the days all the like movie tie-in games,
Right.
like all the like weird
Of course.
crap, you know.
So
One of-
instead
one
of
of-
making instead of making like your Jurassic Park game, you have Jurassic Park and Fortnite, and then you make like a Jurassic Park chicken McNugget, and then you like that's our campaign.
Yeah, man. We'd never get Sneak King again. It would just be the King skin in Fortnite.
Yes, that I mean,
Mhm.
I feel like that honestly is like a loss for culture, you know,
Absolutely.
in a weird way, and also like a loss for like jobs, like who are like the studios that would like make Sneak King, and like your bread and butter is licensed stuff. It's the same thing. You think about like fucking Chris Pratt in ads taking away money from working actors. It's the same concept of like Fortnite, including Fortnite being just the catch-all advertising platform, takes money from studios that would traditionally make their bread and butter on like fucking 80 million video game or movie tie-ins.
It was like I remember it was when the sequels for Star Wars were coming out. There was like the Fortnite collab in preparation for I think Rise of Skywalker like had lore information that wasn't explained in the movies.
Oh, that's
Which
wild.
is an awesome decision. Yeah. Like I think it talks about like how the Emperor actually came back in the Fortnite event.
Oh, yes. Suddenly Palpatine has returned. Now makes sense because
Yeah.
I played the Fortnite.
Right. Everyone else was like, yeah, while people are sitting around joking about it, all those Fortnite kids are like, well, we know
They're
how.
like, why are you joking about it? Like
Yeah.
that's not stupid.
Uh,
I mean,
Poe-
I
did
will.
my required reading. I played
Yes.
Fortnite.
Poe Dameron discovered this during the Fortnite event.
Yeah. You have to unlock it in the battle pass, right? It's it's the end of the battle pass is the Star Wars. There's a whole Star Wars novel that gets unlocked.
I can't wait till the battle pacification of all other forms of media. I want to.
I mean,
I don't have to watch like 60 reruns of a TV show so I can get the final episode.
Oh hell yeah! You gotta grind it out.
Yeah, it
God,
is.
this is
a roguelike TV show.
Who wants to make a new FMV game? I have some ideas.
It like the pure comedy that Horse Armor won after all these years, and like it's the like it's funny to be old enough to remember people thinking Horse Armor was a scam and like a waste of money, and now what it is we pay money for the privilege to play the game a lot to potentially earn Horse Armor.
That is true. Yeah, they've hidden it behind a different series of doors, and now people are like,
that a door we have to pay for.
Yeah,
like it's not even like it's so bizarre. Like the endless monetization of like literally everything.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's. Oh boy, if we want to get into the economics of the game industry,
I say
there is
you abandon it. You like. No, thank you. I have to leave the game industry and just make games. And I think to bring it back to like the heart of this show, I honestly think events are like where you're gonna see the industry, like the hobbyist grade, like indie kind of start to spread out a lot more, you know, like COVID and like
Definitely.
the collapse of what was that?
Definitely.
Yeah, like I feel like because like the collapse of like basically everyone making their own events, and like I feel like there was a time where like Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft had like they were big mainstay booths of like PAX, and now they're like not, you know.
Yeah.
Like most of the people, most of the
PAX East this year is like really indie.
most of the major studios are basically pulled out, and like the huge ones are now like the behemoth, you know.
The Elden Ring dome they had.
Right. You'll get like maybe one or two for like a major release, but I feel like it has been like overtaken by indies and Verizon.
What was Verizon there this year?
Oh yeah, I was next to. I was like behind Verizon.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sad that I didn't get to go this year.
Yeah, it was really cool as well. I didn't know if this was like kind of that was my first PAX. This was past PAX East.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, sick.
And how many like universities?
Yes.
That had game programs had like bought booths, and that like they were being able to like showcase their like student projects.
Yeah.
I actually ended up going to Champlain because I saw the booth at PAX East, and then 4 years later, I brought my senior game to the booth and was like telling people I was like the perfect little advertising pawn, because I was like, I saw this booth here, and now I'm running this booth.
Right.
So it was awesome. It was like a fun little
and then
thing, but
and then we launched our game at PAX. Last year? I can't keep track of time anymore.
I think
It was gonna be stressful.
Year.
Oh my god, you have no idea. Oh my god. I basically didn't show up. I came to the convention for release night for like an hour. And the rest of the time I spent like we were crashing at friends' apartments in the city, and like I spent my almost, we were there for what, 4 or 5 days, and I spent nearly every single hour like hunched over my computer. We had some like hellacious bugs that happened right before we were about to release the game that happened because of like, I don't know, some fog asset that we put in, and we couldn't figure it out. And I spent we spent 4 hours smoke testing it, like right when we were supposed to be releasing, and then like, oh my gosh, and then the save system broke and I had to rewrite it after the game had been released. And like it was like this comical error. And so like I spent very little time on the show floor, but
meanwhile, I'm on the show floor as like the only the whole time, pretty much, telling everyone like, yeah, the whole team's kind of just, I'd come back for the night and just everybody's just hunched over, click clacking away. But it was definitely a lot, but it was a fun experience. We all did a thing where we were when we were getting ready to actually release the game, we all got pizza, and then you have to actually type in, and we didn't know this. We were like, oh, who's going to hit the button to like release the game to actually release it? So then we kept taking turns pressing like more buttons, progressively getting further into the process to release. And then you actually have to type out release my app in a field. And so we're like messaging a bunch of people who worked on the game in like all different capacities, like send us a character so we can paste it in. So it was this big group effort to like get this game released.
And we were in a friend's apartment, and like half the people there had no idea who we were, and they had just like come back from like bar
didn't know
hopping.
What was going on. Yeah.
And like it was like they were like very they were excellent people, but they were like very like fratty and dude bro-y. Like they were like the best possible version of that, but they were like very dude bro-y. And so like this bunch of like oddball like indie game developers had descended upon their apartment, and they just like didn't really know how to handle it. But they were like really excited because they were like part of something, and they like.
And we popped champagne, and it was great. It was cute. I got it all on film.
Yeah,
it was all a thing. But
awesome.
it was a fun PAX experience, at least for me, because I got to be on the show floor.
I had a good time, but it was a different experience. I'm sure y'all have like crazy stories about like your game or weird fun things that have happened while working on your games.
Never releasing the week of a convention. I've thought about it before, because it's like, oh, it would be good to line it up with like being public somewhere, and it'd be fun. You're around maybe a bunch of people, and you can kind of celebrate it in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's always inevitably like something goes wrong the day before, and
of course
after launch you have to fix too. So it's like,
yeah,
can you really give your full attention to the convention while all that's going on?
I mean,
like at PAX, our composer for Necromancer like released a demo for their solo project.
Oh, okay.
While we were on the floor.
Oh God.
So it was a similar experience there. They came back and like to the booth, and I was like, "Congrats! Like you got it." And they were just like, it's done, I guess. I don't want to do anything right now.
Yeah.
Because it was like you have to like. It's not just like, oh, I released my game. It's like it's not like the event itself is no work.
No.
Yeah.
You don't just show up and like events kind of just take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh no, I'll just basically put up a bed behind my booth and sleep, and everything will be fine.
I think like
every tabling event, that is the easiest I've fallen asleep in my life, is a night after.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, I was just saying routinely, and this doesn't happen anywhere else in my life. I will fall asleep. Clothes on top of the sheets, lights on, all the lights on. Normally at events, almost.
The first PAX East I ever worked was like the most socially exhausted I think I'd ever been in my life, and then now after doing it a couple times, my like public and anxiety is like somehow been cured because I'm just so used to it. Like, It's still obviously it's still exhausting, but it's I don't know. I greatly enjoy the con experience. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's the weird thing. You just like if you just
Yeah,
like do
very much
something
fun.
enough, eventually it's like, oh, it's just easy now. I just did it 10,000 times, and then and then so at this point, like, we talked about having seen all of each other at MagFest. How many events have you all done this year alone? Is this your second, or is this like the third for some? Or I know it's the third for some of you. Referring, of course, to too many
Mm.
games.
this
A little up there. I know for us.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go.
I was sorry. Yeah, sure. This is my third asterisk event, I
Okay.
think. I want to say that the other event I did besides MagFest was this year, if I remember correctly. It was a very small scale convention in Connecticut. Turnout wasn't terribly great,
Oh,
but
what was it
it was
called?
all right.
No.
Game a Con.
What was it? Sorry, what con?
Game a Con.
Okay.
Uh, it was pretty small. It was in like a little hotel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Um,
That was actually it says it's October. Yeah. I think I looked at that one at some point. Um, mostly because I am also constantly on the prowl for cons.
Hmm.
sure.
Was it just
I was seeing Andrew, I was seeing your social media, and I was just like, oh, he's tabling here. And then like the next day, I was like, that's a whole different venue.
It
It's
was, yes. No, that was last weekend. I was in New York and then I was in Toronto on Saturday
Wow.
and Sunday.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Uh, New York was in and out one day for waffle games, and then I flew up Sunday morning to Toronto for not too many games, for Toronto game, an event during Toronto Games Week.
Yeah.
But it is like that's what a lot of it got me thinking. Like there are a lot of events. Um,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been on the other side of the grind
right.
of I've been going to like more like I don't know, like industry stuff. Like I went
Yeah.
to GDC and I went to Unreal Fest,
Mm.
and then like I had a friend who did who like put on their own Comic Con, so I helped them with that. And like I've been very much on the other side of like more on like the actual like I haven't been like boothing at cons this year. It's kind of
Right.
been it's been weird because the first time I ever like did a con was like to booth one basically. And that has kind of been all of my con experiences. So this year has kind of been the first time that I've been like really doing um like attending cons. It's a
Right.
very
Right.
weird experience.
Or like it's different because you're still you're going there working, but it's different when you're like when the work isn't sitting in one place, when it's actually like running around everywhere.
Correct.
Hmm.
And you like don't
The hunter
have
gatherer dynamic
and
is
you are no longer bound by the agenda of do the thing. Now
Yeah.
you're like, oh gosh, now I need to figure out what I'm doing.
Right. You could, in theory, if you weren't paying, if you just like, oh, I just did nothing. Um, I just sat around. And it's like it's a weird thing where it's like, even if you were like kind of checked out, um, you would still be able to like, and you were tabling, you'd still basically get most of the stuff done. You'd still function like, oh yeah, feel like you did work at the convention.
Hmm.
But when you're like that, when you're in like those attendee spaces, it's like, well, huh? If I don't go to events, if I don't do these things, I did I even go?
yeah.
So
I like the yearn for fully just I want to be an attendee. It's there in the back of the mind
right.
sometimes, but
I always do better when I have like a mission directive or something like
Right.
that I'm attempting.
Yeah.
Like if I get thrown into an environment like that and I'm like aimless, like I just kind of like I struggle to find like solid purpose. I mean, I usually end up in really great conversations and meet really excellent people, but that's going to happen either way. That's honestly like my favorite part of like, I don't mind talking to folks about like things I'm working on or like showing off games and stuff. But honestly, the best part of going to conventions is like meeting the other indie. Like truly, the best part is like meeting all the other indies and like from going to PAX a few times, like we have developed friendships that have lasted multiple years and like because I'm way out in San Francisco, and so like whenever people come into town, usually it's fun to have a little meet up on the other coast and like just have those connections that you wouldn't really otherwise have, and then you show up to a convention and you're like, oh my god, it's someone I haven't seen in a year but I really like, and oh shit, do you have tape? Right? Like,
Right.
it's like this very fun, like, I don't know.
Because it is like I'm as you're saying that, I'm thinking it is kind of like a weird thing where, like, the biggest conventions are on the West Coast, but I feel like there's a greater number of them towards the East Coast, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
it seems like it.
We've got what? PAX West, right?
Right.
And
like GDC, and then whatever.
Yeah. But GDC is not something that you're gonna, like, is not something that you're gonna go like typically booth a game at, right? Like, that's much more like
it's an industry trade show.
Yeah.
It's
definitely weird vibes.
It's where you go if somebody is paying. It's the kind of event you go to when your company or your university is funding you to go there.
1000%.
It's how I think about that one.
The show floor is like so not useful. Like it's a bunch of like middleware software that's like they're trying to like sell you, and it's like minimum seats or like minimum like number of seats is going to cost you like more money than we have put into like the entire budget of our project. And it's just like, I know this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I struggle to find the person who needs this.
Right. Like who is this like, the speed tree is not for the person who has like they're working out of their bedroom,
Yeah.
And
well, this year, a bunch of like weird like. So the thing about GDC is because like the nature of like the industry right now, like the big, it used to be a big event for like folks to like talent scout and stuff,
right?
And there is still some of that, but it's not on the show floor anymore. It's like kind of moved to like private offices and stuff, and you have to like kind of set up those meetings ahead of time, and it's like an excuse to have everyone in one town. But like the show floor has kind of become like this weird, like, not wasteland, but like it's become this kind of in the same way that like the biggest booths at PAX are like Excedrin and Verizon and like people who really like, why are you here? And like a lot of the show floor at GDC is like that, right? Like there's all these, like a couple years ago there was all these like crypto, like the crypto stuff and all the NFT stuff like took over, and like this year it was a bunch of like Gen AI stuff, and like the general like consensus amongst all the people that I talked to, and I talked to like a bunch of people who were both like AAA and like indie folks, was like, there's nothing here that we need. I don't know who they're marketing to.
Right.
You need alt control GDC. That's the cure. That's what we need.
Well, okay, so oh my gosh. If you want to get into alt control GDC, so for people who don't know, alt control GDC is like this like the coolest part of GDC. and it's like people build these kind of like immersive, like interactive, like alternative control games, right? So this year, so there was this one that was like it was like a pirate ship, and the like, but the game you actually played was like on a seesaw that they had built, and like you got on the seesaw with somebody else, and that's how you controlled it. Um, and so it's a bunch of like weird experimental games like that, that just have a bunch of theming and a bunch of like really neat stuff around them. And like a couple years ago, there was one where it was like a train racing game, but the like interaction was like there was a bucket of balls, and you had to like shovel them into like a hole.
Yeah.
And it was like feeding coal into a train boil. It was so cool.
It's very cool.
So cool. I've been because Dakota and I have been together for the last like week and a half. And because I was interacting with a bunch of like Disney people 2 weeks ago when I was in Orlando, I've got it in my head that I'm gonna make an entry for this thing next year. And this is like all I've been thinking about for the last like last like week and a half.
Oh yeah. But like
yeah, you got to submit it to the Indie Arcade too.
Section.
Yeah.
Oh, where
up at MagFest? That like,
oh, okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
That's the most walking
Yeah.
over there. Got the creative juices going crazy. I was like, I
Oh,
need
absolutely.
to make hardware games so bad. This is awesome.
It was sick. There are so many cool, like, just I don't know, little experiences that I was like so into. The Indie Arcade was excellent.
Yeah, it feels so weird that that kind of thing if exists at GDC. It feels like it's kind of the awkwardness of everyone just bolting everything onto GDC because that's like the game thing, I guess.
Yeah,
but like like all control and all that stuff feels like it doesn't belong there.
Like it really doesn't. It really doesn't.
I think they know it sells the event, though. Getting photos of that kind of stuff is definitely like, oh, look how much fun you can have at GDC with your team kind of stuff.
Right.
There's that. And then also, like, you have a captive audience of people who you know will nerd out and appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah. Like, you know, like, there's a certain special, like, I don't know, for me, there's a certain special, like, juice of, like, having another game developer, like, look at what I've built and be like, I get this. This is really cool.
Yeah.
Right. Like that to me is like that is a very exciting and special moment. So I feel like there's definitely some of that there.
Yeah. It's just a weird mix or a weird like combination of like the most corporate like junky Gen AI stuff is in the same place as, you know, people doing experimental work and like. It's a very odd event, you know, but also it's like where else do you bring that? I guess, and I think that's the reason a lot of that stuff is there. It's like where else do you bring it?
I've been noticing also with that in particular, like a lot of college courses will have like a project that's an alt control game, and they have you submit it to alt control GDC. So a lot of universities will get in with teams of students. I've noticed.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's like,
where else? Yeah, where else in your life are you going to carve out time to make this weird experimental thing?
Right, because you know it's like, oh, I have to have like the money and resources, and colleges can give you those, which is like, you know, very nice that colleges give you the money and resources to do that.
And I think a lot of the professors that are in charge of these game design programs are like pretty hip with the times. They're like, oh, that would be so cool to make my students do this, like alt control games.
Yeah, because it is, you know, as more and more like game design programs are like emerging, and they're kind of just like everywhere now. It feels like.
Yep.
You're getting more like, just like more people who are just like exiting college with like the skills, or like getting into games at younger ages, and just like it's all that stuff where games become sort of parity, that is, so I don't slip over that pronunciation with other art forms where it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of a thing, you're coming to it as a hobby and like maybe it becomes a career, but like in the same way that like an 8-year-old learning to draw isn't like I've got my TikTok ready, my career path is in front of me. I'm starting my artistic journey now. They're like, no, I just like to draw. And similar, I think we're like game developers. We're like, oh, I just like to make games. I guess I'll go to school to make games. And you find just a glut of people. Just like means all these spaces are going to be filled with more and more. Just like mountains of developers, and like where do you put them?
Yeah, that's another reason why I've been enjoying like I've gone to like 2 smaller local cons that are either like anime or retro game focused this year, and a lot of people there are like just very curious about game dev, kind of like the same way that you mentioned, like an 8-year-old just wants to draw for the sake of drawing or whatever.
Right.
So like connecting those people with like our organization here locally that is like, hey, we do game jams like a couple times a year. If you're interested and just want to try this out for a weekend,
Sure.
Here's how to find us, right? And I think that's an important thing for people to find in their own communities and meet other people who are interested in that kind of thing.
Right.
That's Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that you can just do it for fun.
Yeah.
I think it's sick that there's like kind of you can provide them that kind of like outlet with the game jams. Because one thing I always think about when I'm at like boothing at like PAX is like, as someone who is like really excited to get into games, like I know how much it meant to me when I got to talk to people who were boothing, like making games, like as someone aspiring to be a game dev. So I always try to be like, if people are like, oh, I made this like shitty thing in 8 seconds. Be like, yeah, send me it. Like, write down the link or whatever.
Legitimately, like whenever somebody's
sick.
like, whenever somebody's like just starting on their journey, I'm just like, yes, I want to play your thing.
And that's the hardest part they already did the hardest part was they finished something.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember at MagFest, there was this dude who came up to me and we were talking. He was like, hey, I've made a bunch of games. Here's a USB with every game I've ever made. Keep it.
Cool.
Oh,
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
Really cool.
MagFest is where I got my second USB in the whole tape format from somebody.
Was that
was Fleshwalk,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, I was like, that's another person who's been like, every time I pop in to do a post, they're also like doing a different event, like small local events, and they're like,
yes, no, they're like, Kristen. They put out like their like schedule for the summer, and I was like, this is like, it's a solo project, and you're doing like 9 events. What is going on here?
I'm loving to see like indie game devs put out their schedules like they're freaking doing artist alleys, like
Yeah.
Like I feel like you're so used to that of like, oh yeah, here's my artist alley upcoming, and then game devs being like, oh, here are my conventions. It's like a bunch of little conventions wherever you can find one, Because I think that is like, so many games just like don't work on the internet. They just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't fit into like, you can't make a reel or a TikTok for it. Just like your game just doesn't work that way, Or you don't.
But, I mean, like we were talking with like the Control Alt GDC.
Yeah,
it's just like so many of those games they just can't sell. You can't sell that.
Yeah.
I mean, also, Scrapeboard like, is also going to too many games.
That's right.
Exactly.
I saw that.
I was gonna bring that up. I love Scrapeboard so much. I'm so excited.
I am stoked to find out what the hell the alt control stuff is like. That's really kind of what I want to be doing. Like I've kind of like over the years, like it's funny. Like when I was in school, like and the games I love playing the most are like the like big chunky like strategy games where you need spreadsheets and like lots of math to play. Like that is my bread and butter when it comes to playing things. But when it comes to making things, like I've come to the conclusion that what I really most want to make is like stupid, weird experiential things with alternative controls and like escape rooms. Like
Yeah.
that's what I actually want to be making.
Things that are hard to make in your room by yourself and then sell.
Yeah, and then be able to make a living off of doing that.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
But also, too many games has escape rooms, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
So like,
So Dakota and I we're actually tonight this evening we're actually headed down into Pennsylvania because we're up in Jersey.
Okay.
But we're headed down to Pennsylvania this evening to go to Knoebels.
Okay.
It's like a very old theme park, and I'm literally gonna bring a pad of paper, and pen and like take notes on like dark rides and stuff because I'm just like excited to do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking up what this thing is. This old theme park. It's America's largest free admission amusement park.
Yeah.
So they say.
So they say, yeah.
I trust them. I don't know why they. I trust them.
Have they taken a tape measure and measured it?
Yes. Well, I guess the free part is pretty easy to make that claim because a lot of them probably are not free admission. A lot of them are probably very, very hefty admission. But yeah,
certainly,
they have award-winning food apparently. Sorry, I'm just looking at this Noble website.
They have their own brand of bottled water, as we discovered.
Whoa.
No, I mean, these are the kind of things that I also part of why I want to travel because I love just like seeing very like weird little pockets of like local culture,
Sure.
Absolutely.
And like,
well,
because the U.S. very, very just the U.S. alone very big, And,
yeah, I mean that's one of the brilliant things about working indie.
Yeah,
is that like I personally have spent the last like 4 years kind of living out of a backpack in some capacity, right? Because I'm on the West Coast, the rest of the team for part of you was on the East Coast. And so, I would come to town for like a month or two at a time and just like head down work, right? But then I would also like hop on like the Northeast corridor and just like spend a weekend in DC or Philly or like all over kind of and just like get to like go and spend time in other cities and like at the end of my day, hop on my computer and go work more, right? Like, and that has been like one of my favorite parts of being able to do this.
Yeah, our trains aren't great in the U.S. generally, but that Northeast Express line is not too bad. And if you schedule it well enough in advance, it's dirt cheap.
If you're like insane and willing to go like at really weird hours.
Right. That's what I always do. So
ever since they brought like midnight service back, like or like late night service or whatever, like you can get trains like all like to do the whole line for like $40-$30 and it's like okay.
That's about I think for I haven't bought them yet for when I book my Anime NYC train. I think that's about how much it's going to cost is $40.
Yep.
Which is like, what you pay in like fees or whatever getting an airline ticket.
Yeah. That's your baggage fee.
Right. And they're also like you can just walk on those things.
Yeah, they're way more pleasant.
And you can just like walk around. Even like in coach, the space, the leg space is pretty good.
Oh yeah.
And then if you're like first class, you're just like living it up. It's a cool trains. Highly recommend trains. And Philly's one you can actually get to like the Philly area by train.
Yep.
That's how when a couple times I've done too many games was how I got there just by train.
Yeah, we did we did a few conventions via train.
Yeah.
Although it's difficult to do when you have a booth.
Yes,
I will
right.
say.
I'm trying to
That
figure out
is.
how to mail my booth right now
Oh.
because I have to like I bought a bunch of stuff for PAX East because I could drive it there,
Sure.
and it's good. It's like, oh, this is a good booth setup. And like I should bring these to Anime NYC and PAX West. Like I feel like having a nice booth will help. But I'm like also I have not packed a bunch of grid walls in my life. So I'm like, how do I pack these
Sure.
things? And not it costs like
Yeah,
an
like
absurd amount of money.
we splurged on our pack setup and made a giant fake brick wall out of foam.
Right.
Hell
And
yeah.
it's so cool. And we got a lot of positive reinforcement on it. Transporting that thing is already a nightmare.
Right. Now did you drive it or did you ship it?
We drove it. We
Right,
drove it.
right. Because like I could in theory drive everything to because it all actually just fits in my car, so I could drive it to Anime NYC if I wanted to, but I logistically could not drive it to PAX West.
Yeah, that
Oh yeah.
seems.
Or I could, but it's like I would have to take off like I would have to what is that drive? you know.
Yeah.
It's a very big one. What is it? Probably in like let's just say Seattle. Let's not even do hard math, It's just from my town to Seattle.
I mean, you'll get pretty damn close to the convention center if
Right.
you.
Oh,
You
just
type
42
Seattle in.
hours.
Yeah.
Just
Casual.
Just a casual 42-hour drive.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd have to take like
no,
2
that's-
extra days off of
yeah,
work
for
just to
sure.
drive there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got to figure out how to ship these things. I know if I can, I want to avoid having to ship it on a pallet. Mostly,
I think that's reasonable.
yeah. I mean, I could ship from a pallet.
No,
Like, I have ways to ship things via pallet.
I will never forget the experience of like walking into PAX East, and like starting to like unload our car,
Yeah.
and like we had a bunch of gear, and when we first showed up, like the Teamsters were like pissed, because I think they thought we were like scabs or like trying to get around the union
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever. Like they thought we were like brought on as like outside help to like not have to pay their fees or whatever.
Right. Right.
And like so we were getting all these like stink eyes and like like all this stuff. Like they were just like being like kind of deliberately not helpful. And then like a flip switched in their head at some point when they realized that we weren't like some outside contractor, but like we were just loading in our booth from our car.
Right. Did you drive onto the show floor?
Yeah, well, no, we didn't drive onto the show floor.
Okay.
But we drove very close to it.
Right. Right.
In that loading area, and then a flip switch or a switch flipped, and then they were just like, we immediately started having a good time with them.
Yeah.
And they were just like super nice to us and like just like happy that we were there. And like it was just like this wild moment of like and like we got into all these conversations about like people shipping their stuff and all the pallets and all the stuff that they were unloading. And I later that weekend I overheard a conversation about someone who was like, yeah, it's like $8,000 if we want to be the first person to get unloaded. And like I was just sitting there thinking like that's more than we have spent on like anything in the project's timeline.
Right.
And you're trying to tell me that like that's to express your thing so that you get like a few less hours having to be here. I was just floored by that.
Right. I mean, that's the benefit of having all that game dev money, you know, or
Oh yeah.
being a company, being a wealthy game dev. Oh, they have games at Nobles. You should get your game.
oh.
You should pitch them when you get there. Be like, hey, what do you
You
think
should
of
really have
arcade
portable
games?
version of Party Part of You.
Yeah.
Supposedly they have a fascination, which is like if you've never played it, they do a combination of skee ball and bingo, but it's the game where you get a bunch of like foam balls and you roll them down and it like there's this grid of holes and you try to aim the ball directly into some. I don't know, it's really fun. I don't know if I'm describing it well enough for you to be able to picture it in
No,
your head.
I know.
I'm
Yes.
particularly excited.
I have played. I am looking at a picture of this, and I have played a lot of this before in arcades, in my youth. I do know what this is. It's
Yes.
that's very specific pink rubber ball. I think is how I think about it.
Sometimes they
Yeah,
have like a poker themed one, like where you have to make hands. I don't know. It's cool. I dig it.
yeah. There is. Yeah, I'm looking at. There's 5 of them. It's Massachusetts. Oh no, New Jersey, New York. They have a lot of them too. So I'm like, on Wikipedia that is.
Nope.
And these
Play
are just
down the shore.
These
Jersey
are like
Shore all the
fascination
time.
parlors.
Yes. Yep.
But I was in Dartmouth, so maybe I didn't. Well, so I'm sorry. Let's not get hyper. I'm getting too hyper regional. Of like, oh, it's in Dartmouth.
Are the rest of y'all into like physical games and stuff? Like that's definitely something that like Dakota and I like really became friends through playing pinball. Like that was like probably the one of the things that solidified our friendship. Originally was just like playing pinball every Friday night together. But are either of y'all like into physical games or anything?
I mean, like, I enjoyed my physical games, but a lot of my like social through that has come through like fighting game tournament stuff, like
Sure.
locals.
Oh, cool. Yeah, sure.
So
What's
I
your
used
what's
to go
your
every
choice?
week. Nowadays it's Guilty Gear Strive
Okay,
mainly,
gotcha.
but
Yeah.
I used to be big in the Smash scene.
Nice.
So I always think it's funny. If you guys are familiar with Unbeatable, the rhythm
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
game, like rhythm RPG. Yeah, the first time I ever played Soul Calibur was at a Smash tournament with the Unbeatable producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, it is. Fighting games in a lot of ways kind of feel like they're the most. They're inherently communal. I guess you could play a fighting game in an arcade by yourself, but why would you?
Well, I think what's really interesting about that is like it's one of those things that was dictated by the technology. Like
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that like because like home systems weren't originally when they were developed, home systems weren't powerful enough, right, to like be able to run like high fidelity, like fast enough for like decent response times, right? It gets put in arcades. And because it gets put in arcades, right, like the community around it grows, and like a lot of the genre conventions that you see like in fighting games, like the fact that it's like super complicated and like there are no tutorials and like all this stuff is like born out of the fact that it's like part of that experience is like deliberately like you are supposed to be playing this with a community of other people who know how to play, and like you're supposed to be learning, and like the institutional knowledge is supposed to be transferring to you because you're with people who like know how to play these games. And I think that's like a really really unique like thing. And
Mhm.
I am fascinated by like, again, this is one of my other like nerdy rabbit holes, is like, again, we talk about the finance of the game industry, but like the way that games are monetized directly impacts like how people consume and like the cultures that emerge around games. I think that's really really neat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I
there's.
like.
So I got mildly sidetracked because I didn't realize I was on Nobles. Have you thought about getting into carnival games? The intersection between commercial and all control is carnival games. Oh my
Maybe
god!
I should.
Oh, I should. I have an idea. I should
I
pitch. Now I'm thinking on pitching. I need to pitch a gallery space on an event of like alt control. Basically, a bunch of people intentionally trying to make carnival style games.
I'd be so like
That'd be so cool.
game jam
Yeah,
idea.
That's what I mean. I'm like, whoa. And we just need a space to house in it, but like the idea of just like a bunch of let's all make new carnival games.
That would. Oh my god, I
Yeah,
love this idea.
A
I'm
game
so
jam like
sold.
held in like a woodshop workshop.
You could do it as like a, you could do it as like a like you do the game jam and then you do it as like a pop up
Right.
like event thing,
Right.
right? Like it lasts for like a weekend or a long weekend or something, and then you charge admission or tickets or whatever, and then you distribute the proceeds or whatever.
Right. I'm gonna put that idea in the back of my head for a while now.
I'm sold. Like you tell me when it's happening, and I'll make sure to be there.
Yes, that is. Now, as a secondary thing, related to that statement, I did not realize these things are supposed to be cats in Cat Rack. This game is called Cat Rack, and these are supposed to be cats. I'm pasting this into the
no
chat.
idea what you're talking about.
These things
right
are supposed
now.
to be. This thing is. Those are cats.
I thought they were clowns.
That's what I thought.
I was gonna say it's like a down
Those
the
are
clown
cat-
type
those are
situation.
not cats.
Okay, they're not. It's a standard clown design, but the game is called Cat Rack, so I think they used to be
Okay.
called cats.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen the designs with the cats.
Okay.
I think I have too, actually.
It's just a weird thing that is called Cat Rack still. And so I'm looking at this website where you can buy games of skill just online.
Games of skill.
If you want
Is
to
that
buy
pinball machines with flippers?
it's like Cat Rack and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I
And
know.
like the duck,
Gravity Hill.
duck ponds, things like that.
Don't they call them games of skill so they
We're-
can
we're
avoid like
circling-
gambling classification?
I believe so.
1,000%.
Are we circling
Okay.
back to the genre descriptions?
Yes.
Oh,
Circle.
I mean, it started forever ago in pinball. Pinball is a game of skill. It's not gambling. Pinball is a game of skill, so you can't shut down
Right.
my pinball parlor.
Oh no! Don't get the Mayor LaGuardia photo out. Have y'all seen that? Here's a picture of like Mayor LaGuardia holding a sledgehammer, like with like a foot propped up on a pinball machine because he just like went on a crusade and like destroyed every pinball machine in New York City in like the 40s.
Oh my goodness.
There are some good photos if you look that up of him like actively
Yeah.
smashing a pinball cabinet,
Yeah, it's pretty. It's wild.
pushing one over.
I mean,
I don't know.
it sucks he did it. These pictures are crazy, though.
Yeah.
The wild thing is like pinball was banned until like the 70s in New York because of that, and then like I don't know, the best part is that the way that they got them unbanned was that they brought this dude into like a courtroom and like he sat there playing pinball and being like, okay, I'm gonna aim for this shot, and then he hit the shot, and like that was like the moment that they were like, okay, maybe they're not luck.
Like if he missed,
If he had
like,
bricked
pinball-
that shot, pinball would
Yeah,
still be
pinball
bad.
would be
Like,
gone forever.
People will be going over state lines to Jersey to play pinball.
oh my gosh, the illegal pinball racket.
Undercover New York pinball speakeasies. Like,
I mean, they do have those, but
I just want to play Twilight Zone.
yeah.
Oh, I love Twilight Zone. Such a good table.
Yeah, well, if we get sidetracked on pinball, we will be there all day, and
Yes.
only Dakota and I will be chatting.
It'll be bad. It'll be bad.
No, I mean a lot of times that's like the point of post-con hangouts. You know, of like you accidentally trip onto someone's obsession, and then you start learning more. That was me on Tuesday after my talk and showing me opening my phone and showing people like weird old card art from Magic the Gathering.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we-
if any of y'all want to go play pinball with me and Dakota while we're at Too Many Games, I think we're gonna pick a night and go on a pinball
Everyone
adventure.
is invited.
Yeah, of course.
yes, they should have I highly recommend if this call turns into a too many games kind of like pinball hangout, working as intended.
There's definitely a few more folks at Too Many Games that we got to include, though.
Yes, I mean there were people. I think
Mhm,
someone
mhm.
had. There were a couple more people I knew scheduled for this event that I tried to get on, but was too busy. And I think one of them has since, I think he had to switch over to. It was Bundle of Joy, Nicholas with Bundle of Joy. But I am looking when I was looking at Too Many Games earlier. I saw him in the online, so maybe I missed it at first, and he was always online, or had to switch to being online.
Sure.
But he is online now.
Oh, we gotta use the Switch 2 voice chat feature.
Maybe, yes. Bring him digitally. But also scheduled for this was Of the Devil. I know Nth Circle Studios.
Oh.
And there's probably even more that I just know.
We've got a
Yeah.
little bit of a network that definitely is going to be at Too Many Games that we're excited to see. So,
because actually, Hookline and Sniper,
Yes.
the main dev behind that one, we're coworkers.
Okay.
oh hell yeah!
Um,
Oh wow.
yeah,
They-
so our manager was not happy that we called off the exact same week.
I see.
They are in they had emailed me because we had met briefly at MagFest. And we're talking tape.
yeah.
But yeah, there's and then there's also 20 more people that you can meet.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
Well,
but I think it's cool to have I think it's easy to come into indie spaces because it's all it's all heads down. We're working on our game forever,
yeah.
and then to come to events and not know anyone because events are often infrequent.
Yep.
I mean, you do maybe one or two a year, and then
Yep.
you leave. And then I think it's both the mixture of more people just doing a lot more events, and also just it helps people oh hey, being able to know people at events is very handy.
Well, I think one of my favorite one of my favorite event stories that we have
Yeah.
was the first time we boothed at PAX East. And Dakota, you may know where this story is going, but
I would assume.
talking about making friends, of course, we usually make friends with our booth neighbors, and that's fantastic, and we ended up with a really solid cohort of folks that we still talk to. But the person, the first day, we had a delightful, what are they called? What are they called at PAX? Enforcers?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So our enforcer was or the person who was assigned to our area to be our support, was this very kind of, he was a pretty shy dude, and he was just he was clearly not as enthused about working the indie section. He was, the things that he was excited about there. We got to chatting, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I really like League of Legends, and I hope that they're here, and oh, and I really want a nice pair of dice." It was he had his priorities, and as it was very clear that as much as he was doing a great job being a an area lead, for our indie area, it was not where his heart was in terms of where the week started. And I forget what was it that you said to me, Dakota? It was the first night.
Well, it was mostly I think I was like our enforcer like seems very impersonal, so I'm
Mhm.
making it my personal mission to become friends with this person. Like, I, immediately after he said he wanted some like D&D dice, Tom and I looked at each other. We're gonna get this guy some dice, but we got him the dice and he was like we saw him light up like I never imagined we would. And then the next day we come back to our booth and he's like, hey guys, I need to show you something. And he like pulls out from under one of our tables. He bought us like a huge box of like gourmet Boston donuts, and I cried. It was like, oh my god, I couldn't believe it.
But now, legitimately,
What a good first impression for a convention of just like, I don't know, making friends with like. Huh.
And like, oh god, the like incredibly French man who was like boothing the like. So we were right across the alley from Just Shapes and Beats,
Okay.
which is like a rhythm game, and like on their like demo, like this is still like burned into my psyche. But like in their demo, like that like people were playing or whatever, one of the songs that people could pick was like half of the Mortal Kombat theme. And you know, you're at a rhythm, you're
Right.
boothing a rhythm game at a game convention, and one of your options is a song that literally everyone on the show floor knows. Like the chances that somebody is going to pick that song go up significantly, because people are like, "Oh, I want to play a song that I know," and so, you know, and they're rhythm games, so like audio is an important part of it. And so they have their audio up pretty loud. And so for the next 4 days, the soundtrack to our collective lives in this area was the half of the Mortal Kombat theme, which, you know, it goes on a curve. The journey is a curve for sure. Of like, it's kind of fun at the beginning, and then you get kind of halfway through the day, and you're like, all right, I've heard this song too many times. And then, of course, that con, like the exhaustion and delirium and insanity of a con kicks in, and somehow it becomes like the best part.
Yeah.
And you're just like on your
Like
feet.
the only thing keeping you going is the pace, the beat of the Mortal Kombat theme.
It's the 700th time you've heard Mortal Kombat today.
So at the end, we were very thankful that it was there, just like keeping the heartbeat going.
And the guy kept coming up and apologizing and being like,
He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's really loud." Like, and we're just like, no, it's cool.
Well, we need this.
This is what we need. Oh man. But anyway.
Yeah, no, that is like, I need to find a way to like tell them to be like, can I table near game people when I'm at PAX and not like in between, like it seemed like some fine people selling t-shirts to one side of me, but on the other side was like throne.com.
Sure.
And in front of me was Verizon, and I'm like, ooh, so weird Verizon people. And then like, it is very odd. Like, it's like, it shows a different, like what, like the vibe of events. Cause it's like very weird. Like to see people excited about Throne. I'm like, that's so weird. And like,
there's always somebody excited about the thing that I see and go like, there's no way anyone wants this.
Right.
And then there's always someone.
And it's like a snapshot into like, I felt like it was a weekend of like me seeing like influencer culture. Cause I'm like, there are people who are like actively, you know, holding this little mascot and posing in front of like the Throne board. And I'm like,
sure.
Why would you do that? And it's like, oh, people do actually love to participate in marketing, I guess. And I don't know, who knows? But it is
participate in marketing is an incredible phrase.
That's what they're doing.
You're not wrong. That's why I'm so excited by this phrase.
That's what people were doing. Like after a lot of when I went to events, I was like, oh, I should go online. And then there was like a lot of people just like engaging with like a bunch of showcase like whatever like the E3 detritus of showcases. I was like, oh, this is also just people engaging. Like, I love to talk about the latest upcoming releases. It's like, why though? You just don't have to. Or
Well, yeah. One
Or-
of my favorite
Yeah.
things to do is to sit down and like, back when E3 was a thing, sitting down and watching E3 like with a bunch of other game developers.
yeah,
That was magical.
I think the weird thing is when you do it, like the online of it all means you're just ultimately producing content for these people by posting about it. Like,
Yeah, so you need to print out some jumbo-sized Indiepocalypse covers and then cut out face holes in them so
Yeah.
people can
Oh,
like
yeah!
take their photos with the covers.
Right, I need
their favorite cover.
I
The
just need to
face
go,
holes have to be in like really like awkward and like nonsensical places, like not like in the middle of like O's or like the A's, but
Yeah.
like in like like, just, like in the middle of the stem of the Y.
I
I
definitely participate in that marketing.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
I should just go full marketing gremlin. Like, let's just folks time to engage with the product, and I love the products.
So we have joked for years that if we ever have fuck you money,
Yeah.
and we're not talking like big fuck you money. We're talking, can we buy another 10 by 10 booth at PAX?
Yes.
What we would kill to do is, because our company's name is Sometimes Why,
Yeah.
we have joked for years that we're gonna like make a fake company called Always X and have it be like the most corporate, like I think the running bit is that they're all in Squid Games uniforms.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Dakota probably knows this bit a little bit better than than me, but just to like create like the least, like the most impersonal booth possible with like, like beer cozies with like a Helvetica logo that just says Always X, and like giveaways for like mouse pads or so, like like really the least exciting like corporate branded manila envelopes.
Yes. Oh, I do want to earnestly do. I had a friend who just did like, a stamp rally, as they call them, or is one way of referring to it. And I mean to do these like at events I go to of like we should.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like what MagFest does, where it quizzes you.
Oh yeah.
Because like I had like that PAX Together like banner or like the little thing they give you. So I had people coming up and they were like, "Do you have the?" And also, no one gave me stickers or a stamp or anything, so I didn't actually have a thing to give people. Like, so I just like signed their thing. But
Sure.
people were like, "Oh, can I get my thing? You have the thing." I'm like, and I contained myself. I'm like, well, no, you have to listen to what I have first. You can't just come and get a stamp and then leave. You have to engage with my booth.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's really cool that like MagFest has that, but makes people take a quiz on their games.
Nah.
To like on a little kiosk,
Yeah,
be like,
last
did you actually go to all these indie game booths, or do you just say you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, the last tabling event we did was a little one-day event in Baltimore.
Okay.
And the event people had a thing of just like it was split between like the downstairs and upstairs.
Okay.
And it was like if you mark down that you've played 3 games in both downstairs and upstairs, you get free boba.
I see.
And man, that made the amount of people who came to sit down at our game so much higher.
Right.
I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, boy.
That's why I'm like, oh, I definitely want to do like a, where I increasingly know people at events. I want to be like, okay, go to all these whatever Friends of Indiepocalypse booths, check out their booths, and you come back to me and you'll get something. I just need a thing to give people, and also to organize that in advance.
We should, Dakota.
would
We
be
should, we should do like stickers, right? Like we always, because we have a bunch of stickers and we usually like print a bunch of stickers. But like, We should definitely like talk to other folks who like are going to be at conventions that we go to, and like, hey, if you've played their game and then come play our game, you can have like a sticker of like one of their characters, or like a sticker
Yeah,
of
that
like
would be
our
super
character
cool.
and their character. Like that seems like a really neat.
We'd have to
Um,
coordinate it, but
I mean,
that'd be
we can
cool.
do that.
I mean that
Anything to spread the love.
right because I think um, as money is tight, in the indie space of publishers and everything. I think it's nice also that people are getting to I hope are getting closer to realizing, oh, I should be like working with other fellow developers, and we should be promoting each other's work
Oh yeah.
instead of being
Well,
like in your own little thing and like, oh, I gotta make sure I get my Discord channel and my presence and my this and that so that I can be successful.
well, what's really interesting is like obviously like you think right, or maybe maybe I was alone in this, but like like the realization that none of these people are like competition.
Right.
Like they're all
Mhm.
people who are like, because the game consumer market is just not like, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna buy this game and not buy that game. Right? Games are all so unique and stuff, and so it's like, okay, yeah, maybe they're not gonna buy your game today because
Yeah.
maybe they only have a few bucks to spend today. But your game is like going on their wish list, right? If it's appealing to them. And so like the notion that like somehow like helping or like working with other people is somehow like not like helpful to you is an insane like it's so nice to be able to like, and this is kind of reflected in like every interaction that we've had with other indies is like the amount of just like genuinely kind people um who like want to see you succeed that we have run into. um it's definitely one of the things that's like let me keep doing this,
Right.
right? Like
For sure.
just like the amount of great people that we have met that have genuinely become friends because like they're doing cool things and I want to see my friends succeed doing cool things. And so that's always like so cool to watch like other people launch games and like see them kind of trend and all that stuff. Like it's just exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it is when you're individuals or like a team of maybe 3 or 5 people at the most, it takes a lot less money to like be fine, financially. So you don't need to be like a huge, massive, explosive success. You just need to like get by. Um, and it's a lot easier. Like, I'm in a situation where I have a lot of things to sell, but if I was like just a person, not I wasn't splitting things like 11 ways generally. I look at my take back of things from like packs and I go, huh, there is like a viable way of someone like can do this kind of like table at cons if they have games like part time.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means like, okay, maybe you make like little mini indie labels that are like 5 people and you all like table in your regions, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Of being like, hey, I got the Northeast locked down for our like loose collective, and then other people will be like, cover other places. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to be done within these spaces. That I think just I'm kind of like trying not to reiterate my talk from Tuesday or Wednesday because it's like a lot of the stuff is fresh on my brain of like, hey, you just like do shit. Um, like and
No, I mean that's what you always gotta say. It's just like at so many events I'll talk to people who are just like, I want to get in the game dev, but I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, brother, today and tomorrow and the next day, well, it getting into games is easier than it has ever been.
right,
Like every day
True.
there's more resources to make that jump easier, just to like try something.
Yeah, I met someone.
Or
I think
make things.
I think I told you this, Ethan. But I met someone at PAX,
Mhm.
who she was talking about wanting to get more into games, do game stuff. You know, primarily was coming from like an
Mhm.
artist
Mhm.
background and was getting more into pixel art and things like that. And so I told her, I was like, hey, have you tried like Bitsy? You can make a game in like a second. And then I saw later on Instagram that she had, like during PAX, during that weekend, had made a game in Bitsy.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
That's
sick.
so cool.
and it's like that is how fast the turnaround is, you know, and able to being able to make and finish games. Like,
Yeah, that to me, like always when I meet new people who are like interested in making games, I'm like, okay, so what have you like? Are you making a game? And like it's just like, no, just go do it, right? Like, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even need to be a video game. Like,
right,
go get some paper and scribble some stupid shit down on paper. Like that will work.
right,
But
like,
it's like the act of actually doing it is really like that's the thing that like if you've made a game and people have enjoyed it, you're a game developer.
right,
Go
right.
make more.
Yeah, there is a giant mountain of how do I say this, unsuccessful game developers. You know,
Sure.
for whatever is successful, when you see there are 10,000 people who are just like you, also not making any money, and
Yeah.
where
Yep.
it feels like no one is paying attention to your thing. Like, and also it's like waste. However big it, I mean, especially the internet is weird because it makes things like the internet is actually just especially within game dev, most of it is just like a very small subgroup, you know, that feels like it's everything, uh, but it's really just a small selection of people generally, I think, or that's the
Yep.
vibe I get, that it feels like outsized, you know.
And it's the other thing that's interesting about it is like it's not like very representative of like game dev as a community. It's like a
Right,
very specific like it's game dev online, specifically people who like to chat and talk online. Like it's
right,
such a microcosm of a microcosm of a microcosm, right?
right,
Like it's just
and
Even with
um,
that, yeah, just we're talking from the frame of like English speaking,
yeah,
yes,
exactly. Like
True.
it
True.
keeps getting like you keep narrowing down what that group is.
right,
So
right. It's, you know, when people talk about games, 90% of the time they're talking about like Japan, parts of Europe, usually England, basically, and maybe some France, and North America. And when they say North America, they don't mean Mexico. Um,
yeah.
and that's how when people talk about games is, you know, most of the world where there's just regular people also making games, just kind of gets ignored.
So that's actually one of the current right because one of the current things I'm working on, and Dakota is working on this with me too, is that we're working on a game with a company um, working and their target demo and the most of the studio is out of India,
Yeah.
and they're trying to make basically they're trying to make an Indian game studio for Indian folks, but like the like institutional knowledge in India is very very geared towards like a lot of mobile and like hyper casual stuff,
Right.
and so like building that culture out of like more larger projects um for like an Indian market is like not something that necessarily is like a huge thing there yet, but of course there's tons of people who are playing games, right?
Right.
And so like it's been a really interesting kind of thing to work on, like games for different like the because the consumer trends are very different, right? And obviously like I'm getting like kind of more into like corporate like bullshit jargon of
Right.
like,
Right. But
oh, that's
even within the corporate
nature
bullshit
beat,
jargon
right?
world,
Like
uh,
it's fascinating stuff. I
yeah,
mean, um
yeah, because like even that corporate bullshit jargon world has like wildly different cultures, you know,
of course.
like that are there's all sorts of different countries full of bullshit corporate jargon that are also being ignored, which is the, you know, fine
The amount of
also.
the amount of times that I've heard the word KPI
Yeah.
in the last few months of my life has been greatly outsized. I would think if I took the sample size there, it would be a word that everyone uses constantly.
Oh, I do. You don't deal with KPIs every single day like I do. You're.
I keep sitting here. I keep sitting here going like, I make games. Like I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't work with like spreadsheets and like you don't like monitor performance and like you're not
like
analyzing
just
databases.
Tell me what you want. Just tell me what you want. I could do it. I just don't like. I don't know.
You gotta get on those performance in those for all you game.
You get that CPM up.
For all you naive, ignorant artists out there in the world, those are, of course, it stands for, of course, key performance indicator. I don't actually generate the KPIs. I just simply move them around. But I know all about. I'm steeped within knowledge of 5S, and and lean and all these things. But I don't like them. But I'm good. But I am good at some of that stuff. I mean. That's how I'm able to do this. I'm good at organizational structures or whatever. You got to have the two parts of your brain, you know? The deeply organized part and then the part that's like, I also like weird art.
Sure.
Which is why I often don't recommend people do what I do. It's a lot to do. Or I recommend, but just not at the rate at which I do it. Is the discouraged the part I would discourage. Now, is this the first time you've all done too many games, or have you been?
It'll be the first time for me.
First for me.
First time for me as well.
Oh, it's everyone. Full house.
Yes, I'll give a handshake to Charles Martinet for me.
Oh yeah, Mario's gonna be there.
Yeah. That is the kind of, I feel like the kind of event it is. The kind of event where Mario is there and there's a lot of adults wearing Mario t-shirts.
Ooh.
That's how I think. Like I think of events of like, is this
that's your classification system?
I think about t-shirts a lot, like in a weird way, if that makes sense. Like are there a lot of adults wearing t-shirts that would look like they make sense on kids as well.
So is PAX the same?
It's a lot of that clientele, I think. I was walking down the street and I saw a guy just the other day, and by just the other day I mean yesterday, and he was wearing like a Mario shirt that's like, I mean, you're an adult, sir. Why do they sell that shirt in adult sizes?
Adults like Mario too.
They do, but there's like a design, not to pick on nerds too much, but there's like a design sensibility that I'm like it feels like a kid's shirt. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I have the issue is that I have no taste. So,
right. I think that's what it is.
I'm fully invested in the adult wearing Mario shirt. I am here for it.
So you're gonna be well at home. I will, of course.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna buy a Mario shirt and take a picture of it, send it to you.
And I'll be like, you were with your people.
I'm with my people.
The furthest I get down that hole is my Kaiji shirt, but I think that's got a good piece of graphic design to it. But no, and there was like, but PAX also had cool sweatshirts. Present Company had I didn't mention it at PAX, but I was a big fan of the I don't know where you get a Stalker sweatshirt, but
sure,
a big fan of the Stalker sweatshirt. That I think you had. Am I right?
Someone at PAX came by our booth and they had this sweatshirt that I have not stopped thinking about. Yeah. It was this like super beautifully illustrated cat sitting in a pint of beer, and it just said cat beer. And
okay.
I have not been able to find a cat beer sweatshirt anywhere.
That's awesome.
Like that.
Oh, that reminds me.
That's awesome.
I found. Well, someone also had like a Dismiss Yourself sweatshirt, which is like a indie like music label.
Sure.
And I was like, what's that? They do a lot of, I think, like at least a lot of the stuff I have from them is like very grungy, electronica sort of stuff.
Oh hell yeah!
Dismiss Yourself is pretty cool. But I bought a mug the other day. It looks like it's like a weird out of focus picture of like I think the Grand Canyon, and it says, I think it says on the back like "Where is Joe? October 12th, 1999." And I don't know what that means.
Hell yeah.
Well, I guess we
Is
have
it
to
like a
find Joe.
coffee pun?
What was
Oh
that?
yeah, it could be coffee.
Is it like a coffee pun? Maybe I don't know.
Maybe, but then like why the picture? And like I bought it because I was so confused by it, and I need to like
It
show it to people.
reminds me of a pillow I almost bought at a thrift store
Yeah.
that just said it was like a throw pillow with a picture of like an old man wearing sunglasses, like smiling, and it just said Vince 2011.
Oh my god, I would have bought that. That sounds.
I was like, I kind of maybe need the Vince pillow.
The best, the
It's like,
best,
what is this?
the best shirt I've ever bought is my. Oh, I got it. It's the my straight out of fourth grade T-shirt, which
hell
is
yeah.
is stylized
Yeah.
as you'd imagine it, but it's an adult sized T-shirt. It is dated like 2021, which poses a lot of questions of like what fourth grader is like well versed enough in like
What was
any sort of music history.
Well, that would probably be like time appropriate for the film, right?
Yeah, it would be appropriate for
Yeah.
the film, but it's just like it's such a weird like, and it's for like some like elementary school in New Jersey,
Yeah.
and of course I live in San Francisco. And so it's just like a very bizarre thing to own, and it makes me laugh literally every time I see it.
One of the first kind of like game zines that I made was like half parlor games.
Okay.
And one of the things I want to make I have two other things kicking around in my brain that I want to make. One is like a like collaborative zine of people making up their own like movie ritual. What do you call those movie games? Like those like midnight movie game kind of things where it's like everybody knows what they do at Rocky Horror, you know?
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah.
But people
Call
would
outs.
just, yeah, you're right. But people just like make up their own for like my goal was to make one for Stalker, where it's
Ah.
at some
Oh, for games.
Yeah.
Interesting.
yeah at some no Stalker the film, of course, the Tarkovsky
Okay.
classic.
Yeah.
Like at one halfway through the movie where they're all lying down in the water, you let a dog into the movie and the dog kind of wanders around with you and
Sure. I mean, like as somebody who did.
Stalker is like, I'm gonna be reaching out to you about more on this, Andrew.
I no, because you were the one with the Stalker sweatshirt, right? Yes, am I
Yes,
right?
yes.
So like I basically had to contain myself to not mention Stalker at PAX because it would have taken it like occupies a large part of my brain, and I think about it constantly. In a way, I think like good art where you don't like you always need to keep working through it in your brain, and kind of like rolling it over and go, oh, let me figure this out. Let me try and like what it means to me, and but that was one of them. And then like other people would be like, come up, just like, see, like, can you make up like these kind of like midnight movie call out ritual things that don't exist actually, and make up a whole book full of them. I think so. I think Will Jobs had done something similar for like Cats, the tabletop designer.
Okay.
He worked on like Black Mass, Discord full of ghosts. It's not the name of it, but it has a longer name that I don't remember the name of. 100%. But I think he made his cat zine for something similar like that. But the original reason I mentioned that was I wanted to make a zine of like party ideas, like weirdo themed parties, and one of them was going to a thrift store and buying weird clothes and making that your personality for the night.
That's good. So I was talking to the idea that I had when I was at Disneyland a few weeks ago, or Disney World, and like Disneyland, less so. Disney World, this is like very much like part of the culture, is because it's so goddamn expensive to go.
Yeah.
Is like everyone will be wearing like matching T-shirts about like an event or whatever, and like Grandpa's 30.
Yes.
But it's like and like everyone in the party will be wearing the same color shirt and same design or whatever, and it's just like a thing that is like constantly present. And so my idea is everyone has to go to the thrift store before they go to the park, and you have to pick out like a secondhand like Disney excursion like T-shirt. And so everyone in the group shows up wearing the same like or different Disney excursion things, and of course it's, in my mind, it's funny to like just like go there as a group of people wearing different excursion shirts. But the real challenge comes of you're trying to find a group where your design or graphic like tee matches another group's like design as closely as possible, and then you have to try and get a group photo with all of them and you. And I think that would be incredibly fun to do as a group.
Yes, I will. I mean, it's part of like that mug and all this sort of stuff of like this kind of like cultural ephemera of very very specific things. I like to buy also like I was looking at the mugs. So I like to buy mugs and shot glasses when occasionally of like 2009 refrigerator convention.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, I got my shot glass from the 2009. It's like a kind of a cheap cartoon of like I don't have this. I'm imagining this one that I made, of like a coolant pipe or whatever, and he's like drinking. He's like doing some weird in joke that you would know if you were deep into this like kitchen appliance industry. I love industry in jokes and like. Just stuff I could never understand. Anything that reminds me of the giant breadth of human culture,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was thinking with the T-shirt idea,
Yeah.
like, of just you go there with your David's 7th birthday T-shirt, and then you just happen to find David's 8th birthday. It's the same kid a year later.
The single greatest thing ever. Holy shit.
Or like making yourself like a weird ARG for people at the event so that you all have like interconnected T-shirts. Like maybe you have David's 7th through 19th birthday T-shirts. All the
David ages one day a minute.
You all have the same design, and then you have one guy that says David the birthday boy, and you change that person every now and then.
I love that.
As for an overly elaborate thing for nobody except you.
And then the last hour, everyone changes into Dave's funeral.
R.I.P. David.
R.I.P. David.
October 1st, 12 a.m. to October 1st, 5 p.m.
Such a good bit.
And you have like photos of the people throughout the day, all
with like a vignette camera filter
of all the people who you assigned to be David.
Yeah. You hold a mock funeral. You get the In the Arms of the Angels playing.
You say, please spread David's ashes on the Matterhorn, please. And they'll say, no, too many people try to spread ashes at Disneyland. You're not allowed to just do that. You can't just put dead people in a public space. But yes, elaborate nonsense for. I thought about that. I was driving home one day, and I saw someone in like a big, like a weird, like, kind of like, like those the wavy tube men kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they had like a kind of an outfit like that, and they were just kind of like dancing. And I was like, nice. And then a part of cynicism hit me, and I was like, this is probably fucking content they're making. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe they were just doing that for the joy of humanity, for other people to see. But there's that part of me, that lingering fear that's just, people just do stuff for content now. This is someone's TikTok thing they're making. And there's something like, at least to me, like depressing about that.
Yeah.
About like,
you're not doing it for the pure joy of the thing.
A performative whimsy.
Right, exactly. This is going on someone's prank channel, I bet. It's like, no, can't you just like have fun with another human being and then leave whatever leave no trace behind. Just let it die into the eternal ephemera of human existence. But speaking about the eternal ephemera of human existence, we're approaching 2 hours on this show, which is about when I usually like to shut it down. But
I would definitely say Dakota and I should probably get on the road here pretty soon because we have a bit of a drive ahead of us.
Okay, sure. Yes. Are you just to anywhere or getting ready for
Knobles?
Oh, right, Knobles, right? Yes, of course. I forgot I had this guy in the chat. I'm going to post this guy where I had it. This is from an hour ago when I was talking about Magic the Gathering. I was looking for this card because it's a very good card art.
Is it Stormcrow?
It's Stasis.
This isn't Stormcrow.
No, it's Stasis.
This is neat.
That's cool.
Stasis is an incredible piece of card art.
That's awesome. And non-binary people aren't affected by it.
Yes. Right, exactly. That was
holy shit!
Talk about the errata. Has anyone gotten Magic tournaments and said his or her go So I do not skip my untap step. As a they. It's fucking Magic. Magic the Gathering tournament officials getting into arguments with people with neo pronouns. Going,
I have so many trans Magic friends.
Right.
This has unlocked so many new avenues to fuck with people.
Right. And then people go with people say, "Oh, they." It's like, well, these say they, but they don't say zir. It's like, well, I like. All players, I think I think they probably just stopped using pronouns entirely. Probably
all together.
They're thinking ahead. They're like nice try. Because also I feel like that kind of pedantry is like at home at the table of Magic the Gathering.
Absolutely.
That kind of like intense rules lawyering of trying to be like, it doesn't say I can't do that, or
yeah. I mean, honestly, like there's no. The two groups of people who are like the most pedantic and like very like sticklers for rules are going to be like game people and lawyers.
Right.
And I think that it's really funny that those groups of people have something in common.
Well, that's where we get rules lawyers from. The combination of the two. But it is Anyway, folks, just look up old Magic art. It's so good. If you're at home and you're listening to this, look up Stasis, and you go, I guess this makes sense. If you think about it, but very bizarre. But that said, I'm going to start wrapping up the show, getting to the wrap-up phase. And you've all been on the show, so you know what? You have not all been on this show. We have a new entrant to the show.
No.
So you get to I get to hit you with the so Tom, I have important questions for you. The Indiepocalypse questions that I need to know.
Oh gosh, okay.
So first off,
I was about to say, is there a survey?
So first off, the Indiepocalypse radio questions. I should probably hit you with that one. What's your favorite type of rock?
My favorite type of rock?
Yes.
Oh God, there's a whole. Oh God, I really want to tell a story now.
I mean, you're the one with the ticking clock. I think most of anyone.
Well, okay, I'll just say the best rock.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
I'll take it as a cop out answer, and I'll allow it for now.
No, okay, I'll give the full answer.
Yeah.
So I work with kids. That's another. It sounds like that's something that a lot of us do.
Right. I mean, that's the
but
game. That's the game design thing. Is you do like schooling and things like that, or
Yeah.
yeah.
And one of the things, there was a situation where I had to stall for time, and we were outside. And so I came up with the best rock competition,
Okay.
which was, I just got all the kids together and I said, okay, we're going to do a competition. Everyone you have 5 minutes, find the best rock, and gave them no additional prompting. And let them loose. And since then, it has become a yearly tradition that I do with these kids, where we have the best rock competition. There have been no new qualifications put onto this, and it tickles me every time, because the amount of like lateral thinking that you see show up, and just like different ways that people kind of adding qualifiers to their favorite rock. Makes me so happy. So I'm gonna go with the best rock.
That is a very good. I'm glad I got the clarification. I held your feet to the fire of this investigative journalism that is Indiepocalypse Radio.
I see.
And secondary question. I don't know. I'm assuming this one, not secondary, but second question. I'm assuming this one does not have a working with kids tie-in, but maybe it does.
There's always a story. That's the problem.
So I gotta know. Do you have a favorite Toho character?
Oh God, I am the wrong. I'm like, if you knew me, you would know how ill-equipped I was to answer this question.
No, you were there. This is why this one's a do, because plenty of people are ill-equipped to answer this question.
My only knowledge of Toho is like Black MIDI stuff.
Okay.
So what is it called? Green Apple?
Bad Apple. Of course.
Bad Apple. That's my answer. I know it's a song, but
Yes.
that's my answer.
I mean, it's a good song to know. It's a good rhythm game standby, I would say. I learned when I was in Austin that basically every rhythm game has Bad Apple on it, or some Toho
there you
song.
go.
Because it's developer agnostic, you know.
Sure.
Like Namco Bandai is not gonna have like the Daytona song on it.
Now you're really targeting me.
I did play Daytona. I forget what game it was on. I forget what's the game that looks like the washing machine. I forget what that one is. I like that one. It's got the big circular inside that you run your fingers along. That's a.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh,
that one.
Akka?
Yeah.
Is that what you say? Akka? Was that the one? I know you're.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. I just don't know the name.
Yes. And the thing is, I saw it.
Yes, Waka.
Waka. Okay, I knew I was very close. Yeah, Waka. Waka is very cool. It's like the screen's on the inside, then there's like a surface Waka that's WACCA. But yes, in the chat, Waka is being posted.
Yes.
And it's got it's basically a bunch of panels like on an inner surface. And you tap all those panels, but then you also run your hands along the entirety of the panels as well. Very cool. I don't know if Too Many Games is a rhythm game kind of event, if they have a bunch there. But if they do, I'd recommend you all check it out. I should have I should have a question for this kind of pre-event show. I should have thought of one. That'd be a good. You know what? I'm gonna go down the row as you appear on my Discord, and I'm gonna ask you all the now just come up with Indiepocalypse Radio pre-con unofficially named hangout show question. So Dakota, I gotta know, you're heading out to an event. What's your go-to takeout or delivery for when you travel to events?
Ooh. Usually, I used to be, and I guess still am, a big fan of Checkers. So,
Okay.
as they used to have one right by my house, but I always see if there's like one nearby whenever I'm going anywhere. I'm very deeply entrenched in the world of fast food lore
Oh,
and stuff like
yes.
that. So I'm always looking for any place I can't get when I'm close to home. But Checkers has very good fries and a killer banana flavored milkshake as well.
I might have even got that. Dakota, let me tell you, as someone who, when I went to Toronto, the first restaurant I went to was the A&W.
There you go.
I am very I love to get regional, like, I was excited when I figured I went when I could get Culver's. I was excited to get.
Oh yes.
Very excited, all these nice restaurants are like, no, dude, I want to get Culver's. I want to get.
I gotta try it. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yes, I want to know what someone else's staples are. Like, I've not got a Whataburger, but I'm like, what is Whataburger? Ethan, your go-to. What is your like? I gotta get this. This is my instinct.
Yes, the load-in night after we've done setup, the first night will always be whatever the nearest highest rated Thai food place is.
Okay.
Takeout pad Thai.
Yeah.
That's the classic. There was for PAX, there was one like 10 minutes, if that, from our Airbnb called What the Chick.
Okay.
I'm just saying I might go back to Boston just for What the Chick.
Okay, I should check it out because also I'm usually very in and out of Boston, so like I don't. Oh, it's down in Watertown, or at least there's a location in Watertown.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, yeah. There is only one location. It is in Watertown. I should check it out when I'm up in.
I'd say it's worth the trek. It's worth the trek.
I do like to, similarly. That's our Mashpee? What the fuck, man? Sorry, now I'm getting into like, how far away is your damn Airbnb? I'm getting into my favorite thing. You guys were far as hell from. Were you?
That's a little bit.
Yeah.
Only a little bit. It was only a toll on the road every time to and from the convention center.
Yeah, I was like, were you guys further away from PAX than I was? I think you guys were further away from PAX than I was. Am I right? You guys were on the Cape? Maybe I'm looking at something wrong. Anyway.
We were in Watertown. I know that.
Yeah.
That first time in Boston, so.
Yeah. So I got to be looking at something wrong at this map. I think I was looking at. Yes. I was looking at. Anyway, let's not get into the too much of the minutia because there's. I was like, huh? There's a Watertown there to get very confusing. There's like maps. Where did maps bring me to? It's really odd. Something happened on maps and it brought me to like near Mashpee. Anyhow. That was weird. DuckDuckGo, you got bad maps. As it turns out. Yeah, that's really anyway. DuckDuckGo has really bad maps. That's why. As it turns out. Because it put the pin for Watertown around like Mashpee and Katuitt, which is nowhere near Boston. It is like on the Cape. Very bizarre. But you were not on the Cape. That would have been a very far travel. Tom, food.
Well, the Californian in me is always going to be looking on the hunt for tacos.
Okay.
That is literally like at home, it's like once or twice a week. Like I just need my fix.
Yes.
And almost all the conventions that come out to on the East Coast. So it's like always always on the hunt and hopeful for that. I will say the one spot that I have like a very soft spot in my heart for is in Boston as well. It's we always go as like a celebration. It's called Gaku Ramen.
Okay.
And it's walking distance to it's what, a 15-minute walk or so to the convention center. It's pretty solid. I mean, like ramen, ramen is definitely something that I very much enjoy. So
Yes.
That brings me great joy, but I'm usually on the hunt for a decent taco, because in big cities you can it takes work, but you can find a good one.
Right.
I tend to be a little snobby about my tacos because I'm from the West Coast.
Right.
But the last few times I've taken a risk, it's definitely paid off. So I'm thinking that maybe it's time to sunset some of those rules about where I am comfortable going out for tacos.
Right. Get more
because
taco adventurous,
exactly. Get more
Nice.
willing to. So that's mine.
Yes, go ahead.
Also, shout out to Raising Cane's.
I had Raising Cane's a few weeks ago, because there was what's it called? Eternal shoutouts to the Neoscum Now Gutter crew. They would during their prior show Neoscum. One of the guys would mention Raising Cane's all the time, and it just stuck it in my brain like cane sauce, and I was like, fuck, dude, I gotta get Raising Cane's one of these days.
Yep.
And they're bringing them to the East Coast, so.
Yep.
So and you know what? It was good. There's man, good fast food, for cheap tenders and sauce. I'm like, damn, dude, those are good that was good stuff. I wish Eddie wish we had them. But I actually have a taqueria open right now that I'm looking for dinner tonight. So
I'm expecting the after show report.
I don't know if I'll get tacos. I might get tacos. I might get a little bunch of different things. Who knows what I'm going to do. But
well, if you do get tacos, I'm expecting the after show report.
Of course. And Michael, to finish it off, food. What are you thinking? What do you like? What are your go-tos?
Well, it's gonna be quite a drive for me.
Yeah.
It's like 7 hours from North Carolina up to Philly, so we're probably gonna hit not a really nice taco place, but we'll hit up Taco Bell.
Right. Okay.
And that's the go-to on road trips for me, because I don't eat meat, so I just need something really quick. Get my minimum quota of beans in for the day and keep me going.
Yeah,
that's the go-to stop.
That is like a cool, I also have a similar, I don't ever really get Burger King except on the Route 24 BK, that I have to drive to and from Boston. And I feel like it's similar in that vibe of this is a reliable road place. I don't have to think about it. I can get in and out very quick. And you just get it. Nice. That was the emergency thought of what do you like to eat question for Indiepocalypse pre-show hangouts. Maybe to give the people going maybe if we go out to eat. A lot of them already thought I know what these people like. Let's find because that's also the hardest part of let's go out to eat, and then it's where do we go? With that said, hey, we're going to start wrapping up the show. And wrapping up with the most important part of the show, which is where can people find the people here at the show? And, of course, if you're in the greater Philly area and you're going to too many games, hey, there's 3 booths you want to stop by now. That, of course, that's, Necromancer of Nowhere, Part of You, and Torso Tennis. That's 3 booths to check out. And unofficial 4th boost, the Phantom Guest. Check out Of the Devil as well, who could not make it here. And, like you said, Hook, Line, Sniper, plenty of other people. The rest of those developers, just people I haven't met yet, But if people are going to find you more specifically, the weekend's already passed, but they're listening to this show and they're not going, like, how can people find your stuff? I'll start, Ethan. Where can people find your stuff if they're looking to find it? What's the best place to go to?
Yeah. So Steam, we got a page up, and we do have the demo up as well. So
Yes.
whenever you'd like, feel free to check out the demo for Necromancer of Nowhere.
Perfect.
And on our Steam page, we have links for all the socials if you're interested in following along with any of that.
Yes, I presumably from last time we talked, I already have this little checkbox that says on wish list. So
Hell yeah.
hit that little button, hit the bell, get the chimes going, whatever you do with those things. Engage in social media.
Like, comment, subscribe, and
Yes, thank you.
5-star, I think.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Give us all the metrics, and most importantly, buy the games when they come out. That's the hard part.
Help us hit our KPIs.
Yes, we need to get these indie dev.
Yes.
We need to get these indie dev KPIs up. Get them cooking, get them ready to go. And Michael, what's up? How can people find your stuff?
Yeah, you can find all my links at toomuchtomato.com.
Yes, just
all
got a
my
damn
stuff is on there.
website.
Get the website, open it up. You can find the Steam games on there. If you'd like to participate in a marketing activity, you can do the wish list thing.
Yes.
Otherwise, I stream on Twitch quite a bit actually too for like co-working for game development. So if you want a productive environment to get stuff done or ask me any questions,
And I assume one can also find that just through toomuchtomato.com, right?
that's right. Yeah, you can find it all through there.
Perfect. I've been telling people, it's like, even if it's just like a link to a card, fucking just get a URL, Like, it goes so far.
It is nice.
Like to the point where, like, if I was on any other platform and you were like, Andrew's off Twitch now, how do I find Indiepocalypse Radio? Well, that's why I always use indiepocalypse.com/radio. Platform agnostic links are great. Finally, Tom Dakota, where can people find your stuff? People looking to find your stuff.
You can go buy Part of You. It's on sale right now for $10.
Yes.
On Steam. If you are stoked about that, you can go to our website, teamsometimeswhy.com, which has like our merch and stuff. If that's appealing to you, but I would say most of it, just go to the Steam. It's much like that. It's got all of our socials too. But we're Part of You game pretty much everywhere that you would want to be connected with us on socials. So
yes.
Any of those things work. And go play games.
Perfect. Then I will say, of course, to wrap it up, Indiepocalypse.com is where Indiepocalypse is. You find it there. You find games there. You find all sorts of games there. Indiepocalypse.com/submit is how you submit your game to be included within. To potentially be included within Indiepocalypse. I feel like I've got a good threshold. People who are like dedicated enough to like listen to the radio show are probably usually people who are making things that I'd be interested in. But of course, /Patreon is how you support it monthly. /Tape Market's how you get your game published. /Tape Club is a monthly tape club that features this month. Hey, wouldn't you believe it? A perfectly timed bit of marketing. This month's tape club release is Part of You. Get your if you like that game so much that you want it physically, hey, I got a place for you. It's fucking indiepocalypse.com/tape club. Ooh, yes. I do like this developer. This is somebody followed me and I'm like, because I have a message I want to send and I was like, I'm very bad at like keeping up with people like online social media. So, check out your local events, maybe I'm hanging around there. Be like, hey, what's up? I don't know what Andrew Indiepocalypse looks like. But you may look for someone with the glasses and the punk shirts, which is not as common at indie like game events as you would think it is. So you have a good percentage, I think, there. But that said, hey everyone, thanks for hanging out. great to hang, great to chat, great to that.
Mhm.
The show experiment was a success in that I did it and I went through it and it worked. Hoping to do more of these in the future.
Absolutely.
So that
I'm looking forward to meeting everyone in person.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, for
really
sure.
the thing I'm most stoked
Yeah.
that's my hope, is that people will be
Just
like,
a week from now.
it breaks that barrier down of being like, this person is not a complete stranger, and be like, hey, we were on that show of 2 weeks ago. What's up? And then I bought a box of fancy Philadelphia donuts for you. I don't know
There
what
you go.
I don't know what Philly's donut scene is like.
Reading Terminal Market has some like incredible fucking donuts. Holy shit.
Oh, see, now I wish I was going, because then I would hold, like, I would probably actually get a box of donuts for everybody. Because anyhow, we're not going to sneakily get into the fifth version of the show, the third hour or whatever, and keep on going. We're going to let you go play your games of Cat Rack and win 1 million prizes.
Let's go.
Yeah.
If there are redemption games, we have to get little things for both of y'all.
I was looking at all the.
Oh, absolutely.
There were a lot of redemption games. I was looking at them.
All right, put your wish list in chat.
So
We'll bring you some army men.
you have got Balloon Bust, Big One, Giant Crane, Block Party, Cat Rack, Derby Racer, Dizzy Darts, Dog Pounder, Electronic Shooting Game, Fish Pond, Fishing Hole, Flying Frogs, Football Toss, Goblet Game, High Striker, Hoops Basketball, Hungry Frogs, Cosmos Big Mouth, Creeper's Pumpkin Patch, Lead Shooting Gallery, Monkey Madness, Pong Pool, Roller, Bowler, Shooting Water, Speedball, Striker, and Tic Tac Toe are all your available redemption games.
Perfect.
That's a lot of games, anyhow. That's almost too many games.
Too many games.
Whoa.
Oh my god, it's a
We did it.
tie-in.
It's all these tie-ins. Tell me about the Haunted Mansion, the hand cars, the Italian trapeze. Anyway, man, fucking amusement parks. Anyhow, this the old Spanish Bambini. I'm gonna shut down this show. Thank you all for joining me here today. All right, where's my thing?
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. There's the thing where I say goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.